Okay, guys, let's go over the tactics for this week. Now, as I mentioned, we're also going to include a 4-2-1-3 in this system. So I'll give you a tactics for that one. And then we're also going to have a pressing tactic as well. This one is the 3-5-2. Now, the couple of decisions that I made and the reason why I settled with this, I thought, and kind of I'll walk you through for those that really want to improve, understand why I did this. Because the 3-5-2, naturally speaking, I want to get better at FC25. Now, before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? That's the nil guys guarantee. We got in-depth tutorials that are not even on the YouTube channel. We show you the theory of something and we show you gameplay examples in a structured format. We also go over real life football examples that apply to the game and exclusive pro gameplay analysis, full gameplay analysis to elevate your game. We teach you everything from the basics to the meta. Come join at patreon.com/nilguys. Links down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month, we'll refund your money. That's the Nil Guys guarantee. Links down below in the description. You can't defend because the left back and the right back, they're not there. Left mids and right mids, when they come back, they don't act as defenders. So that was a big problem. And I always experiment with other formations to make a makeshift 3-5, so like a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow or 4-1-2-1-2 wide. And basically you can have, in effect, a 3-5-2 by making one of these players a ball playing center back or false back or whatever. The problem is that you weren't able to defend in basically a back four. So that is why I settled in the end with the 4-2-2, because when you're attacking, it attacks in a 3-5-2, and when you're defending, it defends in a 4-4-2. So having two CDMs and a back four, it was enough to be attack heavy on the 3-5-2, knowing that I'm fine defensively when I'm out of possession. But this isn't a formation to use for the entire game. You know, don't forget, when this one, as I explained to you, this has to be an attacking wing at ++. This one has to be a half winger ++, and the cam needs to be a shadow striker. Now, you can get away with not having a ++ for a shadow striker, but I would strongly advise you to do it. There's a few reasons why you might not want to do it, but that's what I'd recommend. And in regards to a question yesterday, people said to me, "Oh, the right back, can you make it defend?" You can. I just did it on balance, so I can have both ways to go down the wing, but you can do it like that if you want this play to be a bit more centralized. That would be a 3-5-2. It defends in a 4-4-2. The build-up style has to be counter. The depth you can play around with. I think higher tier players prefer the 70 depth and above. I would say lower tier players like a Division 5, Division 4 much prefer a lower depth. That's why I say always adjust the depth depending on your play style. But I think you can go 70. I'll be honest. I think if you add that level now, minimum Division 2, you can play 70 depth by now. You should have learned to play, as I mentioned in the January patch. So look, this will be the formation. So as I said to you, it's not a formation to use the entire game. So I've hit a 4-2-1-3. So you can see here the same thing. The depth again, it's on 61, but you can make this 45 to be a bit more passive. So this would be the formation I would use to start the game with. So I'd have the inside forwards, the poacher, or the advanced forwards, up to you. Playmaker, so that Cam at least comes back and helps defensively. And then both the CDMs on deep line playmaker, and the left back, right back on balance. So you could argue this would be the formation to start the game with. Typically speaking, we all know 4-2-1-3 is the best formation inside the game. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jessica is playing this formation. Let's be realistic. We all know this is one of the best formations inside the game. So I think in almost every setup, unless you're playing like a one system formation, you've got to put a 4-2-1-3 in. And that's what I think. The 3-5-2, you see the difference between these two formations? Defensively, there's not that much. So when you're going into this attacking formation, obviously you have one weakness, and that's the left back is going forward. So if you're up against someone that's smart, someone will end up on the opposite end. They'll end up putting a right wing here on inside forward attack or inside forward roaming, and then they'll be able to, and maybe a second striker here on poacher, and they'll be able to exploit this gap on the wing area. So that's just something to bear in mind. So when you do use the 4-2-1-3, you got to have some halfway system. And as I mentioned to you with the 4-2-2, there is one thing you can do as well. You can also play in the 4-2-3-1. So you don't have to use the 4-2-1-3. You can even use the 4-2-3-1. As long as you've got three players that can play those cam roles. That is the biggest issue you're going to find with this formation. So you can see, for example, this would be the balance formation. And then we have the pressing formation. Now, this is the problem. It's very hard to find a player. So you can see in this situation, so this would be the formation to use when you are losing. So let's say you want to come back inside the game. You're losing inside the game. Let's say it's 3-0. Not like a 1-0 or 2-0. Let's say it's 3-0. You need to start pressing the ball. Your opponent's wasting time. Then this would be the formation that you'd want to ideally switch to. But one thing I would say with this one over here is um, it's very hard to get the players in. So what I've done here is I've got Dembele that can play both the cam and the striker role. And you can see Ranieri can also play, if I just move the camera for a second, he can play the cam and the right mid role. So I have those players that are quite unique and diverse. Some of you guys won't have those players. Like Zidane would be a perfect, but you can see the issue is I'm just taking a risk, right? Zidane would be a perfect combination because then I could put Zidane over here as a Shadow Striker plus plus. So if you have a Shadow Striker plus plus, that can play striker as well. I believe that Maradona, I think the finisher version of him, I think might have that, but there isn't that many players. But if you have that, you got a perfect. But this is the most important thing. The left back, I would say, is probably the most important player. They need to be an attacking wing back plus plus. The right attacking cam needs to be attacking half winger plus plus, or you can get away with plus. And then the shadow striker has to be, in my opinion, plus plus. You can use it without the plus plus, but the movement is going to be much slower. That's what will be the biggest difference in this formation. The higher tier level you are, the less of a plus plus you can get away with. Because you know, for example, if Kadioglu is not in position, you could always supplement his run with an L1 trigger, or you could run back with him equally to defend manually yourself, or use teammate contain. So that is why with this formation, it would actually really stack depending on your level. So this is setup that I would go with. You can go, so you got the 4-2-1-3 to start the game out, or even as the balance system. Then you got the 3-5-2, which would be the it's more an attacking than balance. Let's be realistic. And then you have the pressing system. So you actually have 2 more slots, so you can actually fit in whatever you want. I want to give you some suggestions though, but just to keep it simple, I've just put 3 in. But as I said to you, you could also equally do this. I'm just going to show you in this one here. And I thought maybe it would be good if I show you and actually change it on the fly now so you can see it. So I could go, for example, we got the 4-2-1-3. So I could go for a more defensive formation. Let's say like a 4-2-3-1 narrow, even a 4-2-3-1 wide. And I could, let's say if I wanted to leave some balanced, and let's say I want to stay 1 depth. And let's say, for example, I don't know, I want to be super defensive. I could go something like this. And then I could go with the, well, technically speaking, wingers on balanced, you could argue they come back, but you could do wide playmaker, or you could even go wide midfielder defend. And out of possession, they can help. But this is something that you can change. If you really wanted an even more defensive formation, you could even consider doing something like this. If you could even put some, if you wanted to, you could put both of these players on deep line playmaker, make them sit even deeper. And you can put this player on build up. So you could also make it very defensive with this one. And that will just depend on the players that you have. As I said, I've on this account and on my main account, I can't do this, but I've chosen very specific players, as you can see, that are quite diverse. You know, the cam, right mid, right wing. He can play cam, right mid, right wing striker. Chiesa can play striker, right mid, right wing, and left wing. And Philogene can play left wing, left mid, right mid, and striker. So I have all those diverse players. And you can see both of my CDMs, one of the most important things is, if I wanted a diverse team, is both the CDMs can play both center mid as well. So that is the real thing. It's quite an easy formation to play 3-5-2. The most challenging thing is to find the players. So there might be a chance your favorite player might not fit into the system. If it is, put your favorite players in striker. But as I said to you, this player, no matter what, that player, I'll be honest, I'm going to say he needs a plus plus. High level you are, the more you can get away with it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you want to get better FC culture, my Patreon, it's patreon.com/no guys. If you don't get better after 1 month, we'll refund your money, no guys guarantee. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time.